Awesome guys for tuning in. I'm happy you are here. Today I'm going to look at Samson USB microphone, and to be precise we're going to test the Samson C03U multi-pattern USB studio condenser microphone. So guys, I think there was a XLR version of this as well, but a lot of people, especially when they start out, they want to have something that's a little bit easier to use than the standard XLR gear. And I'm going to show this to you in a second. So basically right now you're watching the introductory part. In part 2 I'm going to do an unboxing of this mic, show you what's inside, because a little bit of a special thing, there's a mic mini stand also included, which is not always the case. And then we're going to do in part 3 a listening test of this mic, and I'm going to compare the Samson against my classic XLR microphone. And as you can already see, we're going to compare it against the Shure SM58, which is my mic that I've used for a long time. Actually, it was my first microphone, and we connected via XLR to a tube preamp and an audio Firewire audio interface. And obviously by now you can already see why USB mics are popular with beginners, because you just don't need all that stuff. You don't need the XLR cables, you don't need the USB audio interface, you don't need a preamp. Everything works just right off the box just by connecting the mic to your computer. And if you have Mac OS or Windows 10, I cannot speak about Windows 7, but in the most cases you just plug it in and it works straight away. And this Samson C03U also has switchable pickup patterns. Personally, I only work with the Cardioid pattern because I only do YouTube videos and screen recordings. If you're a musician, maybe Omni or Figure 8 can be useful. Personally, I don't need it, but it's nice to have. And you have also a high pass filter and a 10 dB pad, which can give you more additional flexibility when recording your audio. Guys, I don't want to draw this out too long. Obviously, you're also invited to head over to my channel page. I can show this to you here before we jump to the unboxing and sound test, because on my channel page, obviously, there's a lot of different pieces of audio gear that I have already reviewed. So you're invited to check this out as well, whether it's USB mixers, other XLR mics, other USB mics, or even USB interfaces. I have recorded a bunch, tube preamps, so you can get really a little bit more knowledgeable about audio equipment before you make a purchase decision. That's what these videos are for. So without further ado, I'm excited to hear. Let's get rolling with the unboxing, guys. Awesome guys, now we jumped to part number 2, where we do a little bit of a few close-up looks on this, the unboxing part of the Samson C03 USB condenser microphone. And let me quickly get this out of the box and let's see how this looks close up. And here we have the package, and this is the microphone mount. There we have a carrying bag and this mini micro stand. So that might be handy for people who travel a lot with their notebook and maybe want to do podcasts on the go. And then the microphone itself. Let me take this out, and then manual as well. And basically what I'm going to do for you guys in a second in part 3 is compare these different pickup patterns, Cardioid, Omni, and Figure 8. That's going to be interesting for you to see how this microphone sounds in part 3. And then we're also going to compare it against the dynamic microphone that I showed you in the introductory part. And what else is in here? We have USB cable, obviously. Also seems to be nice and long, so that's also coming in useful. Here you can also see it has the 10 dB pad as well as the high pass filter, I believe. And then here we have the pickup pattern, so you can just use this switch to change the pickup pattern. For me personally, for podcasting or live streaming, I only do these YouTube videos and screen recordings. I normally always use the Cardioid pickup pattern. Personally, I don't need Figure 8 or Omni that much, so that's also something you want to consider. Do you really need a mic that has these different pickup patterns? So that's what we're gonna do a listening test in just a second. And then to install this mic on the microphone mount, basically you need these two parts, and you just screw this up from the bottom, and then it's very easy. You just put this adapter on here and then attach it again. And then you're ready, and we are already ready to test the microphone. Guys, that's really all there is to it. I really like the build quality. It looks really nice and solid, a quality mic. And maybe if you do a little bit of comparison price-wise, you also see that the Samson is a little bit higher in the price than some of the budget entry levels. So usually it's really, if you pay a little bit more, you tend to get a little bit better quality. And that's what we're gonna listen to right now. So why don't we just jump into the computer and do some listening tests of this microphone. Guys, awesome you're here. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and let's jump to part 3 and do the sound test. Yeah, terrific guys. Now we jump to sound test part 3, where we're gonna listen to 3 of the pickup patterns of this Samson C03U. So that's probably why it has a 3 in there, the designator 3. It's probably for the 3 pickup patterns that this mic supports. And right now you're listening to the Omni pattern, so it should record sound from all surroundings. And let me quickly show you. I mean, if you're on the Windows, no problem. The settings are similar no matter which operating system you're on. You just go to sound, and then you can change the sensitivity right here. I right now put it on 50%, and what I noticed from playing around with the microphone, you might want to be careful not to pick it too high, because the microphone seems to be pretty sensitive, at least from what I can see. So let's quickly switch this over to the Cardioid pickup pattern. And right now we have switched over the Samson condenser microphone to the Cardioid pickup pattern. Personally, my favorite pickup pattern, because A, I think it sounds nicer, and B, it's way more focused on my voice. Always make sure when you switch the pickup pattern that you always watch your input volume, because you don't want to put it too high, then it could potentially peak and give you a distorted sound. And let's quickly go to the audio MIDI setup. Right now I'm recording with 16-bit at 48 kilohertz. Obviously this is a USB mic, so if we just look at the options we can pick, we can see the mic only supports 16-bit, and I challenge you to look around when you're shopping for a microphone and see whether you find 24-bit USB mics. I think the majority of them are 16-bit, so that's fine, and as you can hear, it sounds pretty good as well. So that goes to show you don't necessarily always need the most expensive gear. Although, like I told you, I like the more expensive gear. I like to have XLR gear, but the USB stuff is really super portable, so that's a big plus right there. And why don't we just switch it over to the last pickup pattern, the figure 8 pickup pattern. So let's switch this over and make it another test. And right now we're listening to the figure 8 pattern, and I think from my earlier testing, what I saw in the recording settings is that the figure 8 was the most sensitive, so I gotta be careful not to be too loud. And yeah, it should be exactly like in a figure 8. So it records in the front, it records in the back, but not so much at the side. So there you have it. Those are the 3 pickup patterns that this mic has. Obviously we have the 10 dB pad, which I'm not going to engage right now. That would be if you're in a louder environment. You can reduce the sensitivity of the mic a little bit. And you have that filter switch. The filter switch I can engage real quick. So now I have engaged the filter switch. Maybe you hear it sounds a little bit different, but that's so far the testing from the Samson. I engaged the filter switch once more, and why don't we jump over to the XLR mic. Right now you have here the 3 pickup patterns, and now we're going to compare the Samson against the XLR mic as well, so you have a little bit of a comparison and a good orientation which microphone you can pick for your particular purpose. So let's jump to out of the computer, and then I'm going to show you another. Basically my image is going to stay in the corner, but the desktop will disappear. So let's switch to the XLR gear. Now, terrific guys, we jumped out of the computer, and as you can see down here you have my tube preamp, and right now we are not listening anymore to the Shure C03U, but instead we have switched over to a classic XLR mic, the Shure SM58, which I like to use a lot for my comparison videos. And yeah, I mean, basically the signal comes from the XLR mic through an XLR cable into the tube preamp, and then in the tube preamp I can do a variety of things, such as regulate the tube sensitivity, the tube drive, as you can see here. And I also have an output. I can also regulate the output signal, because in the middle I have some stage where I can do some signal processing. For example, I could add a limiter or a compressor, but that would be a little bit too far for this video. Right now, we just want to compare the Samson against the classic XLR mic. But if you're curious about tube preamps, you're invited to head over to my channel page, because there a lot of my viewers actually like to compare the different tube preamps and different audio interfaces, because I have made a bunch of videos for you here as well, so that you can get a good understanding of different pieces of audio equipment before you make a purchase. So that should be really super useful. And while previously I recorded in 16-bit 48, right now I'm recording still in the DVD, the 48, but I have a 24-bit interface. So from the tube preamp, the signal goes into an external sound card, a Firewire sound card. I think most people don't use Firewire anymore, but my old Mac Pro has the Firewire. So that sound card has 24 bits. So that goes to show, when you use the USB microphones, usually you only get 16-bit. And if you use more expensive gear, obviously it costs considerably more to have like this XLR setup that you're seeing right now and that you're hearing right now. Then you also can get the 24-bit recording resolution. Guys, I digress. That concludes the review of the Samson mic and the comparison against an XLR mic. You have learned how these different mics sound. Let's jump quickly to the summary and conclusion part. Terrific, guys. Right now we jump to the summary and conclusion part, and I'm going to give you a quick recap what I think about this microphone. So first up, you have clearly seen what's inside the box of the Samson C0 USB microphone. And yeah, I mean, this included microphone stand I think is a little bit too low for my purpose, so I'm just using my microphone stand instead. So that will be a tip that you can consider if you like, because obviously if you speak directly into the mic, the sound quality will be significantly better than whether it's when it is lower on your desk and on an angle, then the distance from your voice will be just further. And personally, I think it's better to be a little bit closer to the microphone and speak directly into it. Also, the cable was very nice and long, so that gave me plenty of room to connect this to my computer that sits next to my desk. So I have to route the cable from the back up and onto the desk so that I can talk into it. So if you just have a USB mic with a short cable, then obviously you might need to get a longer one. With regard to the microphone itself, I showed you all these switches, and we listened to all the 3 pickup patterns. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Cardioid. That's what I mostly use. And also I think this sounded by far the best for people who want to do podcasting or live streaming or YouTube videos such as me. Guys, you're invited to head over to my channel page. A lot of people like to compare different mics before they make a purchase decision. I show this to you here in the audio section on my channel page. You find different reviews for different XLR mics, USB audio interfaces, tube preamps, and much more. Awesome, guys, for tuning in. Without further ado, let's jump to the next video. Have fun and have a great day. And because you just watched the review of the Samson USB microphone, you might also be interested in comparing against more classical XLR gear. And I have reviewed a bunch of audio interfaces such as this red Focusrite on my channel as well, so I encourage you to do some comparing. A lot of people have already subscribed because of the useful content that I provide here. You can subscribe right now as well. I see you in the next video. Take care.